Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at a limited edition box set from Vinegar Syndrome, and it is Eurocrime Rarities Volume 1. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of Italian crime films from the 70s or 80s. So yeah, this box set is quite frankly right up my street, especially since we have at least one film that I've seen before. It's from a director I've enjoyed plenty of from in the past as well. And yeah, we're going to take a look at it first. So unfortunately, there is no major distinction between the films in terms of the discs, um, outside of the name. So yeah, the first one is 1980's Day of the Cobra. I'm not going to try and pronunciate the Italian title there, but it's directed by Enzo G. Castorelli, who I've also seen 13 other films from in the past. Favourites being the likes of the Inglourious Basterds, Street Law, High Crime, The Big Racket, and The Heroin Busters. So we've had the last four of those on Blu-ray in the past, with those last two also being part of a double collection from Arrow Video. And yeah, like all of the films in this box set, it's a crime action film. Clocks in at 95 minutes long. Stars like Franco Nero, who is easily one of the most prolific Italian actors I've seen any amount of films from, as I've seen 25 films from him before. So he's worked with Castellari in the past with Street Law and High Crime, but he was also great in likes of Massacre Time, The Day of the Owl, How to Kill a Judge, and Confessions of a Police Captain, which is another release we've looked at recently via Radiance Films. You've also got Sybil Danning, who was in The Red Queen Kills 7 Times, The Three and the Four Musketeers from the 70s, and The Salamander. You've also got Ennio Girolami, who was also in 1990 The Bronx Warriors, Escape from the Bronx, and The New Barbarians, which are a bunch of post-apocalyptic, somewhat Mad Max rip-offs that Castellari also directed himself. So, an American narcotics agent is murdered in Italy. The head of the department decides to hire Larry Stanziani, aka the Cobra. Larry, a former agent and now a third-rate private detective, uses the opportunity to get even with an old enemy, but he soon finds out he's facing a relentless organization. So I was going to rate this film marginally lower, but then there were four deaths towards the end of the film that were really rather fun, which meant I couldn't help but bump it up a bit, at least half a star, as there is an explosive barrel kill that sends the guy soaring through the air, and it really did remind me of kind of like a video game kill in that regard. And then there's a nut shot that is so painful it sends the guy several feet into the air, both of which are particular highlights. The cast is also good, the action in general is entertaining, the pacing is on point, the plot is over engrossing, the score is mostly well executed, and the production is overall solid, especially when it comes to those action scenes. And yeah, this is actually a film that was dubbed in Italian because it was originally an English release. So yeah, as a result, you do have an English dub as well as a not an English dub, an English soundtrack as well as an Italian dub to go alongside it. So yeah, that's a pretty cool little extra to go on with there. Um, so yeah, both of those are in mono audio, by the way, and the film itself is in 166 to 1. So yeah, there we go. I'll get to the extras per film as we go when we finish off reviewing each of them. So secondly, we have from 1977. It's a film that goes by many titles. So it's either known as The Rascals Gang, Dirty Gang, or Destruction Force. And this is directed by Stelvio Massi, who also does the third film in this box set. He also did Highway Racer, which I believe was my favourite of the films from the Years of Lead box set that our video released a few years back. And yeah, clocks in at 100 minutes long, stars Luke Miranda, who was also in The Violent Professional, Shoot First, Die Later, and Silent Action. We also got Thomas Millian, who was also in Freehand for a Tough Cop, Brothers Till We Die, Silent Action, and Rome Armed to the Teeth. So Naples is being crippled by crime, and now an important police leader has been assassinated. The grizzled commissario Guini is tough enough to tackle the crime wave and is the only one to fill his shoes. Meanwhile, Menezes, who is a character that Millian has played with in films like Freehand for a Tough Cop and Brothers Till We Die, has his hands full too. He's running his restaurant where he insults the customers, which is apparently something that a new restaurant a few years ago tried to do. So I kind of find it funny that we have a film with that way back in the 70s, while also teaching a new batch of hapless schemers at his low rent school for thieves. So, although the two halves of this film don't fully work alongside one another, while only briefly converging towards the end, this is nonetheless an engaging effort that is at least unique for an Italian crime film from the time, with its blend of hard nosed cops and a more comedic turn from one of its characters, as Menezes is definitely the comic relief in this film. Apparently, Milian was able to write his own lines for this film, as a because originally he was only going to be in this as a cameo to get out of a contract that he had, but his role expanded over time and he was eventually allowed to write his own lines. So yeah, you can definitely see that. But nonetheless, the pacing is also on point. There is some decent action. A few of the comedic scenes are funny. The score is well done. The cast is good, and the production is overall solid. So yeah, Day of the Cobra, by the way, gets 4 out of 5. That gets a 3.5 out of 5. And finally, from 1978, again directed by Stelvio Massi, is The Iron Commissioner. So as you can see, all of these have the same artwork. It's only the titles that is different per disc. So yeah, this is the shortest of the three, clocking in at 83 minutes long. Stars Maurizio Merli, who was also in Highway Racer, as well as Rome Armed to the Teeth, and Yana Agran, who we recently talked about in the Italian horror film Bacterian. So Commissario Mariani has been taking down crooks for years, and these days the weight of it shows. He's divorced, his son thinks of him more of a friend than a father, his superiors are critical of him, and even the children of people he put away are coming after him. But he's not the Iron Commissioner for nothing, and however seasoned, he's not afraid to knock around a few hoods to get the job done. When a kidnapping occurs too close to home, however, Mariani doesn't hesitate to spring into action. So this is overall a darker, more intense, and a better structured effort than the prior film, but it is also more restrained in terms of its action and doesn't manage to be quite as entertaining. That said, the plot is more satisfying while the cast is good. The pacing is on point, it is well shot, has a solid score, and the finale is executed really rather well. So, yeah, overall, that is a pretty damn good film. Gets again a 3.5 out of 5. So, in terms of order of what I'd give them, I give Day of the Cobra first place, Iron Commissioner second, and the what was it called? The Rascals Gang, third place. But they're all pretty decent films, no doubt about that. So yeah, the Rascals Gang is also in 235 to 1. You also have an Italian and an English mono audio soundtrack for that, but I do believe it was originally intended to be in Italian, so the English version is a dub. The Iron Commissioner is in 185 to 1 aspect ratio, and that only has an Italian mono soundtrack, so you will have to read subtitles for that. But what is good is that all three of these are on region-free Blu-ray. So even if you don't have a region-free Blu-ray player in the likes of the UK, then you can watch these without any hesitation. So yeah, that is pretty good. I also like the box artwork we've got here, which is a solid box, so it's nice and you know, high quality. And we also get a booklet with this release as well. The Italian titles on the reverse. And inside you get Metallic KO Down on the Mean Streets with the Iron Commissioner by James Oliver. And yeah, all the writing is printed in black with a yellow background as such. And then we get Warrior Queen, The European Adventures of Sybil Danning by Adrian Smith. So I didn't realise that she was actually an Austrian, also born in Austria. So that wasn't something I realised until getting this release. Then we get Trash Cans and Cops, analysing Stelvio Massi's Dirty Gang and Thomas Milian's career by Francesco Massasesi. And that's it. So, yeah, a few write-ups there, and a decent-sized booklet in general. I think how many pages is it? No page numbers, so not entirely sure. But it's not a thin one by any stretch of the imagination. And then in terms of extras, we have commentary track on the film Day of the Cobra with film historians Eugenio Coloni, Troy Howarth, and Nathaniel Thompson. Then we have The Director Who Looked Like a Stuntman. That's 24-minute interview with director-writer Enzo G. Castellari. Henchman with a Heart of Gold, that's 22-minute interview with actor stuntman Massimo Vanni. And then for the Rascals Gang, we have a commentary track with film historians Eugenio Ercolani and Troy Howarth. Then we have the Non-Violent Professional, that's a 20-minute interview with actor Luke Miranda. And we have A Beautiful Ugly Face, that's a 24-minute interview with actor Corrado Solari. And then for the Iron Commissioner, we again have a commentary track with film historians Eugenio Kalani and Nani Cobretti. Then we have Freehand for a Tough DOP. That's a 23-minute interview with cinematographer Sergio Rubini. And then we have The Purest Form of Palecchio, 20-minute interview with assistant director Danilo Massi. Now, one thing that is an issue with this release, and I'm not sure if anyone else has picked up on it or not, and that is the fact that even though it says on this release that all 3 of the films have been newly scanned and restored in 2K from their 35mm original negatives, I'm going to call BS basically on that, because when it comes to the Day of the Cobra, it looks perfectly fine, but it looks no better than the Amazon Prime version that I've seen before getting this release a year or so ago, that is available in the UK, and it looks no better than that whatsoever. It still looks kind of washed out in terms of its colours, and yeah, it doesn't seem to have had any kind of restoration work done to it at all, but it's perfectly watchable. Then when it comes to the Rascals Gang, that is significantly worse. There's one scene in particular where 2 really rather bright red lines come shooting down the screen, and then there's more than that. There's plenty of flicker, plenty of instances of dirt and such. And then it gets even worse for the Iron Commissioner, where there's clear imbalances in the colour. It's flickering in terms of colour. There's more often than not a line that is coming down the screen, and you can see that it's getting darker. The image is getting darker as it's going down the screen. Again, more instances of dirt, flicker, and yeah, it just looks like a really, really poor Blu-ray in general. To be honest, it doesn't look like any restoration work has been done to it. And yeah, if Vinegar Syndrome considered this restoration work, then I'd love to see what these looked like originally, because they do not look good at all. They are comfortably the worst looking Blu-rays that I've seen for quite some time. I have to probably look back to Screenbound release. I think it was oh, oh yeah, a film called Triple Cross from Screenbound, I think it was, or 101 Films, one or the other. But yeah, that's the last time I've seen a Blu-ray that looks absolutely poor. It looks basically verging on old age DVD from the late 90s, early 2000s, to be honest. So yeah, I'm really not impressed by them in that regard, to be honest. And yeah, what isn't also impressive is the fact that this arrived damaged, which also isn't helpful. So as you can probably see there, it's hard to show really. See there, all that plastic was chipped away, and there was splinters all over the case, all inside of it. And then somehow, see that damage there? Somehow that happened. Even though the box itself is in perfect condition, the booklet is fine as well, the discs are fine. Somehow the sleeve had been creased and or ripped, and then also damaged the artwork sleeve as well. Now, Vinegar Syndrome, fair to them, have said they will replace the case and the artwork when I make a new order, but it's a real mystery how that happened at all, considering the hard box and the booklet are fine, as well as the sleeve that you get over the case itself. All of that's fine. So how the hell the plastic has been damaged, or the sleeve is ripped and the artwork has been damaged, I don't know. But yeah, even worse than that though is the fact that the transfers don't look good at all. So yeah, that's a real shame, because the films themselves are pretty good. But we've seen plenty of these kind of Italian crime films from the 70s, from like Savaro Video. I think Studio Canal have done some. We've obviously had Raro Video and Radiance themselves, and they've all done bang up jobs with these, Italian crime films from this period. And yet these, for whatever reason, just looked untouched. So yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes, I guess. But yeah, not impressed at all with this release in terms of the transfers. Everything else is fine. I can't blame them too much for the way that the condition of the film came, because that could have easily happened in transit, and it is obviously coming all the way from America. But there is no excuse whatsoever for them to look as bad as they do here. So yeah, whether or not it's a mistake on their part and they didn't intend it to look like this, or you know, they just couldn't be bothered. I don't know. But regardless, yeah, I'm not going to recommend this release for the transfers, but I will recommend it for the films themselves. And if you are into 70s crime films from Italy, then they should be right up your street. They were mostly for me. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you've seen either of these three films before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.